guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a very different video from what you're used to seeing from me. I know I've been saying that a lot recently and I apologize for that, but for those of you who may or may not know, I've decided to go on a fitness journey and this is my 1 month update about how that's been going. So if I get a little emotional or a little awkward, I apologize. I don't really like talking about myself, and especially with weight, it's always been something that's been hard for me to talk about because I know I'm fat and I'm not very confident in myself. So hopefully with this program that changes. Oh, and before we get going, actually, if you guys want to know more about the program that I'm doing, you can feel free to message me. I'll put my email down below in the description and I'll get you in contact with my coach who can answer more of your questions about the program, because there are different programs within the program that I'm doing as well. So she might know something that would fit you more than what would fit me. But yeah, okay. Now that that's out of the way, we'll get going. So my coach is actually my next door neighbor, which is awesome because if I have any questions or if something comes up that doesn't seem right, I can always ask her. I can just pop over next door or just give her a text or a call. And in the beginning, she was very thorough. She would call me every day the first week and make sure that I was feeling okay, that I was drinking enough water, if I was following everything to the T. And then every week after that, she called me on the first day. But once the second week hit, she also called me with her coach so that if I had a question that she couldn't answer, her coach could, step in and say, oh yeah, this is what you need to do, or this is what's going on. And even her coach was just so inspirational and just offering words of advice and pieces of wisdom and just making sure that, you don't get discouraged and that every piece of change that's happening with your body is a step forward. Total honesty here, I was not going to say yes at first when I started this program, just because one, you're breaking years of habits that you've built up, and that's always something difficult to do. And two, I was more worried about saying goodbye to a lot of the foods that I was eating at the current time, just because I knew I wouldn't be able to eat it on this diet. And to be honest, that's part of my problem. I'm an enabler. I was enabling myself to eat all these foods that I knew weren't good for me. COVID-19 doesn't help when you're at home because you're bored eating. You're not eating because you're hungry, you're eating because you're bored. It's like that saying, what is it? You know it's bad for you, but you do it anyway. That was me. And I'm trying to change that about myself. But the more and more I thought about it, there was nothing for me to lose, and I could have lived with the fact that I tried it and failed. But I knew that if I didn't try this, I would always have that thought in the back of my mind that was, what if I had tried this? What if it had worked? I didn't want to have that regret. And that's ultimately what pushed me to do it. When you start off, they give you something called a life book. And your life book is essentially your health journey. So it helps you keep track of your progress, but it also helps you learn things about yourself that you may not have known. And it helps you learn things that'll keep you growing within this program. And when you start off, the main thing is you have to figure out your why. And your why is supposed to motivate you to continue to keep going. Initially, my why was like everyone else's. I wanted to lose weight, but that's not enough. It's not something that'll hit you in your heart, that'll keep you going. And so I delved deeper, and this is what I came up with. This is straight from my blog, so I will put that site in the description as well if you want to read it. But this is what it says. Honestly, I wanted to lose weight. I've been heavy all my life, and I wanted to see if this program would be able to help me do that. But then I started thinking about my overall health and realized that I need to change my habits now so that I won't have to worry about my health as I get older. And having my mom pass away at such a young age from various illnesses makes me want to be there for my family and for my kids in the future should I choose to have any. And that is my why. So here are some experiences that I wanted to share with you guys about my journey so far. the hardest thing for me to adjust to when I first started was actually portion sizes. I overate before, and having to limit myself to the amount of proteins that I was allowed and the amount of vegetables that I was allowed was actually kind of hard. I actually have to measure my food intake. So when I have a protein, I have to make sure it's the amount of ounces that I can have, and for certain vegetables I have to make sure it's like half a cup or a cup or whatever I'm doing with the vegetable. I also learned that half a cup is not a lot of vegetables. You think it's a lot, but it's not. But yeah, portion sizes and measuring my food was probably the hardest thing to get used to at first, because I never had to do it before. I feel like such a selfish princess saying this, but having to learn how to cook my own meals. If you're really close with me, you know that I really didn't cook before this. My grandma used to cook a lot for me, or we'd go out to go eat, which is worse than having your family cook for you, having a home cooked meal. But I just didn't cook before, and now that I'm on this program, the whole thing about it is they want you to learn how to cook your own food, because then when you go out somewhere you can say, oh, that's enough portion sizes, I can have that. You know, before this I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna cook my fried rice and scrambled eggs. That's pretty much all I knew how to make. I mean, I knew how to make some other stuff, but I mean, it wasn't perfect. I learned how to make cauliflower fried rice, and that's actually pretty good. But yeah, cooking my own meals is definitely a thing, and in actuality now it's kind of cool and kind of funny, because now I cook for my grandma because she feels bad about eating things in front of me that I can't eat, so she has taken to eating whatever I make for dinner. So if I make myself like chicken and cauliflower rice, she'll have chicken and cauliflower rice as well, but she'll cook her thing and show you, and you know, I have to eat my chicken just with salt, pepper, and lemon. But as far as drinking water goes, I'm getting back on track with it now, but I feel like I did a lot better with it at the beginning, just because you still have your initial hunger pains, and to curb that, the coaches tell you to drink a lot of water. And I believe my first day I went to refill my Hydro Flask like 4 or 5 times, and I have a 40-ounce flask, so that was way more than I needed to drink. We're supposed to be getting 64 ounces, and I definitely drank more than what I was supposed to when I first started. So after the first couple of days went by and I got used to the hunger pains, they kind of just dwindled down and I didn't really feel them. So I wasn't drinking as much water as I used to, and I actually ended up getting like a tiny little facial rash. I could just feel the itchiness, and I talked to my coach about it. I thought I wasn't getting enough carbs or something in my diet, like I thought something was weird or off, and she was like, no, it could just be because it's really hot. Have you been drinking enough water? And I was like, oh yeah, I don't think so. Lo and behold, I upped my water intake and I don't get the rash anymore. So yeah, drink water. Oh, I've also been drinking water entirely. I mean, I haven't drank anything but water since I started for a month. So I mean, I am allowed to drink if I need it, like 0-calorie Powerade or Gatorade, but I don't want to touch that just because I don't want anything to prohibit what I'm doing, or prolong what I'm doing, I guess I should say. But yeah, so I've been drinking nothing but water for a month, and it actually does make you feel good. You just have to use the bathroom a lot more often, but I mean, that's not a problem. Cravings was something that like I said earlier, I thought I would have a lot of problems with it, but I mean, it's actually not that bad. I think it's because, I mean, I'm not a big fan of fish, but I've been eating ahi with my meals, and salmon burgers when I first started out, and I think it's because, you know, when that's the only real food that you have to eat all day, you know, your body is just like, screw it, I'm gonna eat what I can. And I'm pretty sure that's what my brain did, because my program that I'm on is like 5 healthy snacks, and then you eat dinner, which is your big meal. And so it's like bars, and I mean, there's actual food like mac and cheese or like mashed potatoes, pasta, but it's like a small, like a good amount of serving. My sleep schedule actually has gotten better too, because we're all still in quarantine. When I first started, I had a messed up sleep schedule. I would fall asleep at around 3 a.m. and I would wake up at 10. But because I am on this program, I have to actually eat within 30 minutes of getting up, and then from that time I have to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. To accommodate for that, I usually wake up at around 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And with this program, I actually have a really high energy level too, so I don't even take a nap. You know, I am awake all day and I fall asleep at around, I want to say the earliest was like 9:30 and the latest was like 10 o'clock, 10:30. So that's not bad. Right now we're going to do a before and after comparison of where I was when I first started to where I am now after a month. And hopefully the picture's up and working because I wanted you to see it as I'm speaking. But before I weighed 231 pounds and now I weigh 218 pounds. Which means I lost about 13 pounds altogether in about a month. And I mean, it's still a great accomplishment, but I've seen other people lose weight, or I've seen other people lose more weight on our support group page, and you know, it kind of discouraged me a bit, which is what I wanted to mainly talk about, which is you can't compare yourself to other people because everyone's bodies work differently, and that losing the weight and everything like that, like the scale doesn't really matter in this kind of sense. And, you know, people like me are a perfect example because, you know, we lost a lot of our water weight at first and we were psyched because, you know, we were losing the weight and it was happening fast. But then when the water all ran out, you're starting to burn your fat and you're starting to burn, you know, the things that you need to burn the weight off healthily. And, you know, when I kind of stopped, when it started going slow, I did get a little bit discouraged at first. And all these questions started firing off in my head and I was starting to doubt myself and I was starting to doubt the program. But then I kind of started looking at the positives, which was, hey, I'm not, you know, losing as much weight as I was before, but I'm still maintaining the current weight and I'm not gaining any weight. So that was something that made me feel a little bit better about it all. And the other thing was when we first started, they asked us to take measurements of ourselves. So measurements of our chest, our hips, our waist, our arms, and our thighs. And after the second week, my coach had me take my measurements again. And, you know, I had lost about 2 inches on everything after the second week. And, you know, by the end of the month, I had the 13 pounds. And when I retook my measurements again, if you add up everything that I had lost in measurements, I had lost 12. I don't know why I said it that way, but I had lost 12.3 inches in measurements if you added them up all together. And, you know, that's kind of what it's all about. I mean, you might not be losing the weight, but if you're losing the inches, you know, that's still great. And I think it's something that we should all be focusing on instead of weight, because sometimes when you're not losing the weight and you're looking at the scale and things don't add up, you start to doubt yourself. You know, you start having those thoughts in your head of like, is this even worth it if I'm not even losing weight? But then you take your measurements and you're like, I'm doing pretty good. Or if you take your weight and you're still maintaining, that's still great because you're not losing and you're not gaining anything. You know, like looking at the small positives of this is actually, you know, something that is a learning experience. And it's something that happened with my photo as well. When I looked at my comparison photos, when I first saw the comparison photos, I was so hard on myself. I was like, I don't see any difference. I was like, I still have a double chin. You know, I was like, my stomach's still fat. You know, all that kind of stuff popped into my head. And then I showed it to my family and I showed it to some of my friends and they're like, I don't know what you're looking at, you know, you look great, you know, it's such a difference. All these comments started flooding in. I didn't even notice some of the things people were talking about because I was so hard on myself. And sometimes it's a good thing, because I feel like sometimes if you like loosen up on yourself, you get a little bit too confident and a little bit too comfy. But as far as, you know, when you're not able to see the progress that you've made because you're so hard on yourself, that's a different story. You know, and I guess the moral of the story is like, don't be too hard on yourself, because progress is progress and any step is a step forward. Some future goals that I have right now is I wanted to be more creative with my meals, just because right now I'm eating the same things and it's getting a little boring. I mean, chicken is my best friend. I never thought I'd love chicken this much in my entire life. It's getting a little... I'm getting into a funk with it, you know? So I kind of wanted to see if there's a healthy option for noodles, maybe, or maybe find like a good cauliflower rice recipe and maybe make something out of that with maybe like some shrimp or something. Like, that'd be awesome. Just something to make it a little bit more exciting for me and challenge my skills as a cook too. Actually, my goal when I first started, which is really hefty in terms of weight loss, but I actually wanted to get down to 170, which is still not a very healthy weight for me, but that's, if you minus it from 231, it's about 61 pounds. I haven't thought of many other goals just yet, but I'm hoping to think of some more in the near future. The good thing is that I've decided to do this for another month, and so you guys can have the update at the end of the second month. And as I said before, I will put the link to my site in my description for my blog for those of you who want to read it. And for those of you who want to know more about my program or any of the programs that we offer, I will also put my email down in there. So if you want to, you can email me and I will shoot that email over to my coach so she can assist you. Well, that's it. I hope you guys liked the video. I'm debating on putting up a video of me cooking dinner just so you guys can see how I have to make my meals and how I have to measure everything out. But I'm still on the fence about it just because I am not the world's greatest cook yet, but we'll see. Hope you guys have a great day. Hopefully it's a good morning, a good night, or a good afternoon for wherever you are.